Oh, this will be quite an episode. Welcome back to the challenge series. We are here for episode 19. Why did I have to even think about that? Anywho, yeah, the 19 thing. Wow, good job, me. Anywho, picture here, as you can see, slightly spoils two things that are to come in this episode. I mean, that's kind of part of the idea. It's supposed to be a preview of the episode. But, if you're paying any bit of attention, you'll see one car that is debuting in this episode up there. That is a Ford Roadster, piloted by Thomas O'Reilly. Will be here making its debut later in the episode. And if you cannot decipher the other thing that's hinted at in this episode just by this picture, I will not spoil it. You will just have to wait. Alright, we are starting things off in a very interesting way. It is the, well, for all intents and purposes, it's the Bristol Night Race. Northern Rail Speedway is making its challenge series debut, and for anyone who can't figure it out, put two and two together, this is effectively Bristol Motor Speedway. It's not called that because of licensing, but okay. Well then, but for all forms except naming-wise, this is literally Bristol. It's like a half-mile long banked oval where the corners are mostly flat. Well, flat out. They're not flat corners, but you take them running flat out. Already up a handful of positions. We didn't know exactly how many laps to set this as Scott Webber gets absolutely out of shape. We didn't know how many laps to put this at, so we just set it as a 5-minute endurance race. I expect about 15 laps will be done in that time, give or take. It almost seems like a sin to have fake Bristol Motor Speedway debut in the challenge series, and Ty McIntosh is not a part of the race, considering the real-life Bristol is pretty much his second house. He probably would live there if he could. I do know, however, that my dad absolutely loves Bristol as well. So, expect some decent driving from him as he gets all out of whack. Most sand is on the correct tires. She put her racing hard back on after the off-road race. This is clearly not her forte, nor her car's forte. She just slides out of my dad's way. And suddenly Andreas Vitalis, who is looking for some redemption now that he's put the racing tires back on his car. After the end of the last episode where he ran the potluck race on comfort hards. Oops. Soon Nico will be lapping more cars. Okay. Around the outside. Yes. And around the outside of Taylor as well. Wilson getting lapped by a train of cars. That's like half the grid just passed her in 2 turns. JJ West almost slid up into her while trying to give Pablo Hernandez room. These two cars can't be any more different, I don't think. An Abarth 500 and an old Trans Am. Taylor's not getting blue flags from my dad being all up in their mirror. And Taylor's just doing the speed limit. Half throttle. I know that they aren't much of a racing type per se, and they're more or less just here for the community, I think they said. but the community has kind of thrown a bit of criticism at them lately. For that, mostly that exact reason of why are they even here if they're not here to race? As here comes the pack. That is an image right there. That's a lot of cars. There you go. Yeah, like what are they doing on the racetrack? They're not here to race. Schwartz and Carson got around fine. I don't know why my dad just forgets how to change lanes all of a sudden. Do 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 do. Yeah, I know. Some of the lines I've heard thrown at Taylor are, "Why do you even bother showing up to the starting grid if you're not going to race? They don't belong on a racetrack. They're way too slow." And I believe even Nico threw a shot at them by saying, does Taylor know that there's no speed limit on a racetrack? It's hard to tell how much Nico actually meant by that, because Nico kind of says a lot of things in this weird backwards tone. But yeah, I mean, Taylor's told me multiple times they're not a racing type. I get that, but even I kind of look at it sideways like, then why are you here if you're not to race? Even Gina, I think, was one of the critics of the idea of a person in a racing series who's not trying to race. I remember somebody, I don't remember who, as Andreas Vitalis comes around the last turn. He will win the fake Bristol night. Honestly, can we just call it Bristol? It's easier. He wins the Bristol night race. Convincingly so. He got an extra lap of everybody else because of just the way that he was positioned when he crossed the line. He had 4 seconds to go in the race. Nico, when she crossed the line, did not. I don't remember who it was. Part of me wants to say it was, might have been Vitalis himself, actually. No, it wasn't the Greek accent. It was like might have been Sham or Schwartz. I think it was Sham, though. Whoever it was said, quote, is that person driving the Lounge 24 valve trim? Which, as much as it's like, wow, you're slow, like, that is very rude to say, of like, it is kind of funny way to preface it as, you are such a slow driver that I thought you were running a trim level with like 10% of the horsepower of the car you actually drive. Like, it's a little more creative than, holy shit, you suck. It's, are you driving a lower trim level? We have arrived at race 2 of the episode. We head to Daytona Road Course for the 3-lap 640 event. Camera car is Travis Wilde in his 930 Porsche. A very oversteery adventure awaits us, as we've already seen a lot of that oversteer. How about a little more? We finally make our way out of the slow section in the infield and on to the banking. Holy crap, Zhou Jingwei is making good her escape plan. She is just out of here. Yep. There goes Travis. He shoots on the outside. All that self-assuredness has to count for something, right? He's wildly changing lanes, trying to find some way ahead of Togasa. Does Maki send it here? It appears as though she will, as Travis has some Porsche things on the way into turn 1. An overwhelming surplus of Porsche things. Tries the outside of Tyler. Orange versus orange. Daytona just about a home circuit for the Georgia native of Travis Wilde. Sends it well ahead of Maki. Oh yeah, I can use a 360 camera now, and even in replays. And I can also use the look back button. In case you were not aware, an update recently happened on GT7, and part of that update, among other things, was the ability to use the 360 degree camera in Chase Cam again, something that was in the Gran Turismo Sport beta. Never made it into Sport, and apparently barely made it in this. As the lead that Jingwei had before Travis Wilde took second place is now pretty much all but gone. As Maki can't even see Travis Wilde anymore. The gap between first and third, I have to fathom, is at least 10 seconds. The gap between first and the second is about 1. No, Porsche things. I'm sure it'll all come down to the last lap. Can Travis Wilde survive the Porsche tendencies to find a way ahead of Zhao Jingwei in the closing moments? Or does the Challenge Series' native Rainbow Warrior hold off the Tiger? Whoa, Porsche things! Correct. It's actually about 12 seconds between the leader and third. It will be settled in the bus stop, it appears. Wilde has quite a run on the Genesis driver. Travis is doing crossovers. He can't seem to pick which lane he wants. There's contact. More contact. Uh-oh. Oh! There's the horn. That's another thing I was at it. See, he almost lost control trying to change lanes to get ahead of Jingwei. And then that's a lot of curb, and he's loose there, and oversteer. Snap correction. So being forced under that curb unsettled the Porsche, and right about here, even though he's got Jingwei to kind of lean on, that's also not helping. He corrects oversteer that being up against Jingwei's car actually kind of fixed, and just sputters off the other direction. And that's not a great hit. I mean, there's no good hits, but yeah, here we go. There's the loss of control because he tries to make a lane change in a car that doesn't like to go into turns. .70-mile-an-hour impact. And he's done. That's a DNF for Travis Wilde. I don't think he's going to be happy about being put on that curb, because that's what did him in. 70-mile-an-hour impact. even if that's not the important part of the car. That's a DNF. There's the yellow flag, so that pretty much settles the running order. Nobody's gonna be able to pass through here now. So, one use of an aggressive curb later, Zhao Jingwei will grab the win at Daytona. Maki and Kogasa look like they will finish off the podium. And that'll wrap up the race, not the episode. So before we even head into this race, I just want to preface the sheer excitement of being able to finally run this track. Welcome to Watkins Glen. Literally like my possibly favorite track in all of motorsports. The only competitors being like the Nürburgring GP circuit, Hockenheimring, and Suzuka and Fuji. No one will even get anywhere near this track. And even Hockenheimring is kind of a stretch on that. It's mostly just the Nürburgring GP circuit and Suzuka that are competing. Kind of think of it as like the best of each region. Watkins Glen, best track in the North Americas. Nürburgring GP, best track in Europe. And Suzuka, best track in Asia. This was the other thing that was spoiled in that picture, and it just came out in this update that added the 360-degree camera, the horn button that you can map, and the Ford Roadster that we'll see later. This is the 675 category race, and yeah, it should be an interesting debut race for Watkins Glen. I remember Gina continues to give me crap about how overbearingly excited I was about the debut of this track when we were both doing administrative work. We hadn't actually managed to secure a new venue for the Challenge Series since the new season began. As much as even having like the 30 locations we do have is already impressive. Obviously we want more. We want to cover more ground. We hadn't done anything in the eastern United States yet. I mean, we just did a Bristol race, but finally we got a venue, like a major world venue, to agree to allow us to host Challenge Series events, and it was the Glen. And I remember literally sprinting. Gina always, I remember, because Gina won't let me forget, sprinting into her office based out of Monza and just screaming, "We got the green light! We got the green light!" And she's like, "What? Red light! Red light! What now?" So yeah, she thought I was losing my damn mind, to say the least, because we finally got the green light to host races at the Glen. So without further ado, let us actually do that. That's already on the screen, you fool. The camera car is Reen. Oh, she's on her nice lights. Her NASCAR themed Camaro, appropriately. Not giving a whole lot of real estate there from Martin Simpson. I mean, sort of in the NASCAR system. I wonder if he's ever raced here before. I know there's a couple in this race that have. Oh, jeez. That's 3 wide. And Tonica just jumps right in there and just body slams the back of Gemini's car. Got it there? He might not have been able to participate in the debut of the Bristol race, but Tyler would not miss Watkins Glen either. I'm surprised he didn't get at me for not telling him that Bristol was debuting. And also my dad is familiar with the circuit more than most. And he's also representing the paint scheme of a car, the paint scheme of a driver who's more than familiar with the Glen of Tony Stewart. So it's basically a NASCAR 1-2 because Tyler's car is basically a what if a Rowdy Energy NASCAR existed. And somewhere currently in the midfield, of course I couldn't miss this race either. Somewhere in this mess of cars is Reen in her Camaro. If and when she can get up there, it'll be a true NASCAR battle. It'll essentially be Richard Childress versus Joe Gibbs Racing. Because her car is loosely based around the Caterpillar 8 car Camaro that raced in about 2020 as she gets ahead of me through the S's, just screeches ahead of Vittori and is cut off by Parker. She sounds the horn. Then he kind of puts him in Parker puts Reen in the grass for good measure. You know, because cutting Reen off wasn't enough, gotta put her in the grass, hanging out with Kyra Boggs. Too much lately there, Johnny. John Garrison, apparently has been working on his setup lately, so now he won't have as many spins in the C2 Corvette. He'll still slide, but I think that's sort of a given when you're driving a car from 1963. Gonna actually look for a move on Kotori. Nope. Also, that lead that my dad produced is now gone. Maybe he got complacent. Okay, this is Garrison, sort of part of that group of, Eastern U.S. I believe. If I remember correctly, he lives in D.C. So this is his part of the country. Gets absolutely embarrassed by Reen, though. So it is Tyler versus my dad versus two Mercury Racing drivers. One of these things is not like the other. I think Kotori actually just straight up let Reen ahead there. She wasn't really even on the throttle of the S's, and you don't take them at full throttle, but you do take them with throttle. Oh, good lord. Tyler puts Reen in the grass now. Oh, Reen's not fucking happy about that. She just shoves her way ahead of him. And that's the NASCAR Classic. Reen just hit Tyler with the Tyler move. Bump and run. Pretty well executed too. Didn't wreck Tyler. Could have wrecked the lesser driver, but Tyler's probably had that happen to him a few dozen times or so. And now we get a last lap and a third battle between not Tyler Reddick and not Tony Stewart. But taking the form of my own dad and some random girl from Tokyo. So I just heard Reen sound the horn to try and get in my dad's head. It does not necessarily seem to be working at the moment, though. That was a very bizarre turn. Dad's horrifically wide exiting the boot. Yes, it is what that part's called, boot. They individually have the heel and toe corners, but then Tyler is, for all intents and purposes, in the catbird seat. If you can keep the bump and run that happened to him about a lap ago out of his mind. He's not out of the race, hypothetically, nor is Kotori. Garrison pretty much is, though. He's quite a ways back. And even my dad is starting to get back ahead for the moment. Adrena's far more aggressive going up the S's here. Far more. So, she's got a decent run exiting, heading towards the bus stop chicane. She's learned she's going inside on the Lexus driver. Almost said Pontiac driver. I mean, yeah, it's just not right now. It's too much curb. Reen can't floor it on exit. Dad loose. Heading into the carousel. Do they use the bumpers? Heading towards the start of the boot. Dad clears before the braking point. Meanwhile, Tyler probably can't focus too much on trying to take second or first away. He's got Kotori for company. Reen shoots on the outside of the heel. Oh, this is the toe, not the heel. The other corner's the heel. Outside. Might outdrag the Lexus, you know. Yeah, she will. So she will take my dad around the outside of the toe. Courtesy of him getting some oversteer on the exit. Without that oversteer, it might have gone to the next corner. But my dad just felt the pressure and lost a bit of control. He kept it straight, obviously, but lost so much speed while sliding, and Reen just had perfect traction. And then a classic park the bus maneuver. Dad still has 3 more corners to go, be it through a clean move or through a bumper. He dropped a shift. That was a crucial failure. Reen snaps, but Dad couldn't force the issue. He had McIntosh arrive. So, a last lap battle results in Reen Hoshizora taking the victory at the Glen for its debut event. Automatically showing this track has potential for some crazy battles. 4 cars under a blanket, who knows where this race could have gone if there were more laps. I was stuck in traffic. I swear I'm better at this track than that. It is race 4 of the episode. We head to Suzuka Circuit for a 3-lap microphone 730 category race. Reen ends up being the camera car a second time, as for the second time this episode, she starts last. Although she won from this position before, so, you know. There's to say she can't complete the last to first challenge again. It takes some nerve to do that. I believe this would definitely mark the first time so far that a driver has been the camera car twice in a row. Or even twice in the same episode, for that matter. Ganyu's giving 0 space, no real estate, the housing market is terrible. Summers and Eric just making a mess. Same thing with Ganyu and Reen, and Bert almost took full advantage of that weird interaction between the McLaren driver and the Viper driver. Eric chickens out going up towards Spoon. Reen takes 16th away. The Aston Martin miles out of shape. Reen will pull ahead of that easily. As I say, I wouldn't do that, ill-advised the best. I wouldn't do that either, Brian. Reyes letting his D1 GP roots shine through a tiny bit there. Ellie going for a pass on Barbara Page. Into turn 1, too much curb. Well, not that Ellie really had a choice. Barbara forced her down there, and well, paid for it. Lost the place because of it. Because of being put on that curb, Ellie shoved her wide and took the spot away. Reen getting into Cam's quarter panel. Another weird interaction hitting into the S's. Cam was kind of in between lanes there, and Reen didn't have a whole lot of choice but to run into her. I am the superior Viper. I am not. Psych, I thought. Reen on the inside of the first Degner. Ice acts like she doesn't exist. Now Reen sneaks into the second Degner and comes out of it ahead of the Jaguar. Now we got the Viper Wars here. Costa gets loose on the exit of the hairpin. Prime opportunity for a Lamborghini. Oh! Reen wasn't ready for me to hit the brakes there. Just unstable. Now that is wallpaper material right there. Just take that away, and there you go. Well, there you really go. There's the wallpaper for you. I mean, new versus old, so there's no real reason Reen doesn't take the positions here. Okay, that's a little early on the brakes, Reyes. Ellie and Barbara doing some tandem drifting heading out of the chicane. Reen does not care for your drifting. We'll take the fastest lap and the positions. Meanwhile, it's an NSX duel at the front between Honoka and Alice. Heading to 1, Honoka also forced onto that same curb, and around goes Carson. Returns to the circuit back into Ellie, and off she goes. And that was once again a case of Honoka doesn't really have anywhere else to go here. She can't do anything except hit that curb. So that's on Alice. You have to give them space to run the corner without hitting the curb. And if you don't do that, then be ready for them to bounce off of it and into you. It's a small bump, but it's enough to put Alice on that outside curb, and she gets effectively a taste of her medicine. And sways back into the path of ISA, and finds herself facing the wrong way entirely. And now it is a Mercury Racing 1-2-3. If Ellie can keep Barbara at bay, complete the podium lockout for Mercury. Send me a postcard from Success while you're at it, girls. And don't do anything I wouldn't do either. I don't think I have to tell them that. These three aren't the crazy ones, you know what I mean? I trust these three to actually have their brains screwed into their heads and race like normal people. Even if Honoka did kind of maybe sort of dent my rear bumper considerably in our first race on the same track as a team together. Green's not produced a challenge to Honoka just yet. There are no team orders, because it's not like we're just vying for success. So either Reen's waiting for the right moment, or she just doesn't care. I can tell you 130R is not the right moment. Maybe forces something into the chicane. Oh yeah. Space given, Honoka runs over all of the curbing, and that's going to hamper her exit. Reen loose on the exit though, and to the line. Ooh, Reen by a bumper. And Ellie holds third to complete the podium lockout for Mercury. I am the weakest vet. Goodbye. You're green for the potluck event. It takes place here at Dragon Trail. And there is the debut of the Ford Roadster, driven by Thomas O'Reilly. Certainly sounds like a powerful beast. Everyone heads up this weird uphill S chicane thing. Now the Roadster is registered as a 600 class car. There are actually a few of those in this event, like more than usual. I think there's like 5. Big story of this one, Reen having been selected as part of the sort of raffle, is gonna be looking to go 3 in a row in this race. Up until this point, no driver has ever even won wow. What is English? Nobody's ever won more than 1 race in a row here in the challenge series. At least not in CS22. Nobody's done that. Reen has done that. She won Watkins Glen, and then she won Suzuka, and now she's gonna try and go 3 in a row here at Dragon Trail. Her main obstacles are Stephanie Kaiser and Travis Wild, so Reen will have to defeat Porsche, more or less. Already ahead of a 675 car is the Ford Roadster, just embarrasses Ibarazaki. Maybe look down the inside of Natsuki. No. Yes. No. Certainly looked, but Natsuki turned in, and he didn't. Instead, we'll just go on the outside, whatever works. I didn't mention this either, but now it's possible to separately register a vehicle under multiple categories. So the Watkins Glen race had multiple cars that were native to 640 running in the 675 run or event. I believe it was Reen, Kotori, Honoka, and myself that did that. So it's basically just us on Mercury Racing that changed our cars to 675. That is totally allowed, it's just that nobody had thought about doing it up until we did. But now that we have done it, other people have started to follow suit. As Reen out-drags one Porsche and sneaks down the inside of the other Porsche, as Kaiser try and take it back, heading up through the weird chicane S upward hill thing. Nope, Reen had that inside lane, and Kaiser missed a gear. So, Reen has taken the lead, and now she can stay there for 8 more minutes. she will win 3 events in a row. Winning 2 in a row is unheard of up to this point. So Reem's looking at quite a record. This is me versus Tyler. And here comes O'Reilly to spoil that. I do believe my car was back at 640 for the potluck, though. It was in 675 for the Glen, but I put it back to 640 for the potluck. Down the inside of the Super B. That's a lot of curb. Curses. I need to shift. Anyway. Moving on from the battle for 13th or 12th. Man, just park that Korean bus, why don't you, Diva? She prefers to go by Diva. She doesn't like being called on a song. Don't know why. She doesn't. Conseil Drifto Ford Hot Rado. You're in this tiny little thing and you just see that in your mirror. What do you do? I guess you die. Especially if it hits you. But it's out of control. Seriously, that thing takes up the entire frickin' mirror. Oh, hi, Thomas. Bye, Thomas. Welcome to Ford Racing 3. Or 4, or whatever. It's pretty spread out near the front. Thrasher's keeping pace with the car that's running a category higher than him. Thomas tries to go for more than the Roadster allows. I mean, I guess you gotta find the limits at some point, right? Might as well look for the limits while there's nobody around you. Drinkwater continues to keep the Raptor at bay. Battle breaks out between Sodakov and Bagstrom. I believe that's an overtake on the M3's part, not defense. O'Reilly has a run on Thrasher. Remember right, he was playing some mind games with him down the back straightaway here. I think I heard his horn go off. These two enjoy a bit of a slight rivalry with each other, being the two main Ford representatives in the series. And he put his hazards on when he passed him. Which is called Thrasher Slow. That's a horsepower deficit if ever I saw one. Thomas is currently catching those two. He's in a car. Okay, there's 130 performance points difference between Travis Wilde and Thomas O'Reilly's Roadster right now. Thomas is running faster than a car that's 3 categories above him. And he's just flipping past it. He just passed a GT1 homologation car and a hot rod. Either Travis Wilde is just sucking it up, or Thomas O'Reilly is just on fire, and I don't mean his paint job either. Although, for the paint, probably could have done something a little more imaginative than hot rod flames. Hot rod flames for the hot rod. You know, blood for the blood god and all that. Tell me you've never driven a hot rod before. Maybe you haven't. Bert certainly drives like he hasn't. You just totally missed the hairpin because he's apparently being intimidated by a flipping Ford Model B. Oh, and he botches it! Thomas pulls ahead of a second 730 category vehicle. And he's catching Stephanie Kaiser for good measure. Again, this car is in the 600 category, and it's about to be second overall in a race where there are 4 730 class cars. There's no reason he should be ahead of Stephanie, Vert, or Travis. Like, you shouldn't even be ahead of any of these, like, 6 cars in the 640 class either. And I shouldn't be ahead of Akira either. You could argue he's not even... He should be running, like, 18th or 17th. That's where you should be right now. Instead, he's ahead of Stephanie Kaiser and Burt Wheeler on pace. At this point, I can't just say it's Travis Wild being bad. It's that Thomas O'Reilly is just on another level right now. And if he had a car that was even a little bit faster, he might have won this race. If he was running a 640 class car, he might have won this race. Still could. I don't know how much he's catching Hoshizora by. There's going to be this lap, and there might be another one after it. I'm not sure. Could be close. Akira still can't find a way ahead of me. He is a category above me. He has no real excuse here. He's driving away from the rest of them. So yeah, Thomas O'Reilly is going to place P2 in a 600 category car in the potluck race. I don't even know if a 675 car has managed to do that before. But I don't know what's more impressive, that fact, or the fact that Rin Hoshizora is about to head out of the last turn to win a 3rd straight Challenge Series event. That is historic. And I say this because the timer just expired, so nobody else except for Rin gets another lap, but she will. She'll basically get a victory lap. Bert finishes off the podium, and if I'm really anybody that isn't Rin, Thomas, or any of the 3 other 600 class cars, I feel pretty flippin' stupid right now. You always got embarrassed by a 60-year-old man driving a hot rod from 1930 something. You drove a car that was coming out of the factory line when your grandma was born. And you're in like state-of-the-art technology like Diva's Genesis or Ross's SR3 or Thrasher's Mustang, or God forbid a homologation car for a GT1 Le Mans racing, like Le Mans winning car, just lost to a car from before World War II. I put that in perspective. This car is old enough to be my grandpa, and Thomas is old enough to be my uncle, my grandpa too, honestly. He's 60, or no, he's old enough to be my dad. He's 10 years older than my dad. a car is 90 years old, and you just beat a homologation model for a 24 Hours of Le Mans class-winning car. You lost only to a late model or like final generation Viper. You beat a Camaro with 900 horsepower and a glorified Beetle. I just cut the episode before I have a brain aneurysm, please.